What it is, cuckwads, it's your boy the hater up in this mug, and today's video is gonna be on the fact that Cody Rhodes, known to some as Cody Rhodes, known to some others as Rhodey Chodes, needs to drop the title immediately. You know, we are now getting to the point of WrestleMania, and it's quite frankly too close to WrestleMania to have meaningless matches like Cody Rhodes versus Cody Owens, which we've seen like 7 times this fucking year. You know what I'm saying? This is unacceptable. The Cody Rhodes title reign has been completely devoid of any meaningfulness, right? It has been an uneventful title reign. I can't think of anybody that Cody Rhodes has defended the title against that can be considered anything more than a mid-carder. Not even an upper mid-carder. I'm talking like a mid-carder, motherfucks. Like AJ Styles, Kevin Owens. These guys haven't had the world title in like years. You know what I mean? They're much more aligned towards like the tag team titles and towards the mid-card titles. You know? So this entire title reign of Cody Rhodes has pretty much devalued the undisputed title into a mid-card title. You know? So it's time for him to lose it. In addition, none of the matches that he's had have been meaningful otherwise, right? In other words, you can have a title match between two jobbers like Cody Owens and Cody Rhodes. However, if the title match itself is interesting or the storyline behind it is interesting, you can get past it. You can get by with a couple of these shitty matches in any given, year, right? Any given WrestleMania cycle, if you will. But this entire title match and title feud is predicated upon 2 things. Number 1, Cody Rhodes is a bad friend to Kevin Owens. And number 2, Kevin Owens attacked Cody Rhodes' butt buddy, Randy Orton, apparently. All of a sudden, Cody Rhodes is acting like he attacked his wife. You know? Fucking relax. You know what I'm saying? Randy Orton is a grown man who is a WWE wrestler and who has been getting attacked for years. How is it that only now Cody Rhodes cares about this? Anyways, it doesn't really matter. The point is that Cody Rhodes, everything he's done this year, could have easily been accomplished with him holding the United States title. Let's be honest, right? Like, would anything have changed if everything that we saw from Cody Rhodes this year just involved the US title instead? No, it would be the exact same thing, and it honestly would make a lot more sense. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles for the United States title is a much more sensical match than Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles for the world title. You know what I mean? Where have all the world champs gone? You know what I'm saying? Where is everybody that matters? Apparently, nobody matters anymore. And Cody Rhodes has pretty much been holding this title hostage. On the other side, right, of the coin, we have Gunther. Gunther is out there, and he's just like not doing anything at all. The only thing he does is he comes out in a suit looking worse than Cody, and he pretty much cuts the same promo again and again. And the promo pretty much hits on 2 or 3 points. Number 1, Gunther takes wrestling seriously. The mat is sacred, which is fucking cringe. 2, Gunther is the true champion and the only one that matters, which is not believable at all, right? Even he doesn't believe it. You know, Gunther knows he's a mid-carder that stumbled onto the world title scene. You know? And sometimes the third point being that Gunther is going to continue to be a dominant champion. The entire premise of Gunther is he tries to verbally get over his title and therefore get over himself. In the ring, he can't get it done. I mean, you would have to be like a level 10 liar and be lying to yourself this entire time if you were to make the argument that Gunther is somehow good in the ring. You know what I mean? There is absolutely zero evidence of this whatsoever. You know, his matches are boring. He does the same 5 moves. He's not entertaining. So it's just all talk, right? It's just all talk. His entire premise, his entire raison d'etre, if you will, is just to be there and to serve as a foil to Cody Rhodes. But in his promos, he consistently tries to get himself over on Cody, right? Despite there being zero evidence of this whatsoever and nobody wanting the World Heavyweight title at all, right? Like, no, it's like such a throwaway title that nobody pursues it in the slightest. Like, there's absolutely no doubt, that Cody Rhodes, when he won the Rumble last year, that obviously the World Heavyweight title is the inferior title to pursue. It's almost on the level of the NXT title in terms of prestige. It's been held only by jobbers and mid-carders, and nobody cares about it. It hasn't main evented anything. I don't even think it's main evented like a Raw, But anyways, irrespective of that, Gunther's entire point is, wow, this title really is the most important, right? But there's absolutely no reason to think this other than Gunther said so. And because Gunther has no credibility as a wrestler or as a talker, nobody believes it. So it's just a throwaway title, you know what I mean? It's only a matter of time before Gunther gets transferred to SmackDown. Now that SmackDown is the B show, right? The B show is going to get the B title. It's as simple as that. SmackDown was the A show up until now. Once Fox dropped them, the writing was on the wall. You know what I mean? SmackDown is back to being the B show, so Gunther needs to go during the transfer window there and have meaningless feuds there as well. So, the point is, neither title and neither champion feels like a champion. So it's time for both of these jobbers to drop their titles and go back to where they belong on the card. In the middle of it. In the mid-card. Especially Gunther. It is unacceptable that Gunther is going to go from wrestling Sami Zayn, losing to Sami Zayn, for the Intercontinental title, which has had zero value for the last 3 years. You know what I mean? The only time it had even some minute value was when Jey Uso won it for a week and a half. Now it's completely meaningless. It's you might as well just not have it. Nobody cares about it at all. So that's where we find ourselves. We find ourselves in a place where none of the titles matter. But it's too close to WrestleMania for this to be the case. It's time to make the titles great again, at least for WrestleMania season. Sometimes in wrestling, you have to take shots. You have to take risks as a booker and as a promoter and as a company. This year, quote unquote, the risks are called Cody Rhodes and Gunther, okay? The reality is that if we're being honest, if we're being fair to ourselves, we know that neither of these risks have paid off. Let's be real. Cody Rhodes doesn't feel like a main eventer. Gunther barely feels like a mid-carder. Gunther, his entire ethos of I wrestle all the time, and Cody's entire ethos of I'm the workhorse here, is completely a lie. They barely defend their title. Gunther doesn't wrestle at all anymore. He's had 7 matches this entire year, and 4 of them were the King of the Ring matches. He's basically does nothing. He adds nothing to this company. And the reality is that in order for WrestleMania to feel like a big deal, we need people that are big deals. Let me ask you a question. If Gunther were to defend the World Heavyweight Jobber title against John Cena, would anyone want Gunther to win? I don't think anybody that's watching would ever say yes. Now, imagine if instead of defending against Cena, he defends against, Damian Priest, right? That is not a WrestleMania-worthy match. Damian Priest versus Gunther. Gunther versus Sheamus. These are not WrestleMania main event-worthy matches. Damian Priest versus Gunther, I believe, is not even a WrestleMania-worthy match, period. With Sheamus, you can get by in an Intercontinental title level type match, right? But with Damian Priest, it's this is a pre-show match. This is a match you should be able to see for free on Raw. So think about what that means. That means that unless Gunther is paired up with someone of some caliber, like John Cena or Goldberg in the near future, no one's going to give a shit about Gunther's match. And that is unacceptable. It's going to feel the same way as it did when Gunther was wrestling Drew McIntyre and Sheamus for the Intercontinental title. It's going to feel like a match of mid-card jobbers that nobody cares about. I know everyone pretended to love that match and everyone was looking forward to it. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody gave a flying fuck about that match at all. It was the third match on night 1. Nobody cared. The same thing, unfortunately, applies to the Cuckster himself. If Cody Rhodes is paired with a Roman Reigns at minimum, right? Or with The Rock, or with Cena, or with even CM Punk, right? If he's paired with someone much more over and much better than him, then there is a chance that the match will have some value. But the same question would be asked. If it's Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk, I don't like either one. But even I would want CM Punk to win. That's the more interesting outcome. I don't think anybody would want Cody Rhodes to continue his title run. Now that brings us to the same consideration that we had for that jobber Gunther. Think about it. If Cody Rhodes is paired up with, let's say, AJ Styles, like let's just say, for example, that the main event of WrestleMania is Cody Rhodes versus, I don't know, Carmelo Hayes or a debuting Trick Williams. It would be a match that people would leave home, they would leave the arena to go home, early, right? Nobody would give a flying fuck. Cody Rhodes is not good enough to pull a mid-carder into the main event because he himself is a mid-carder. Cody Rhodes only operates in the main event, and this is clear from the last year of wrestling, if someone can pull him to the main event. I'm talking about the main event of actual pay-per-views, not Saturday night main event. That doesn't fucking count. That could be, the main event of that could be Otis versus Chad Gable, and nobody would bat an eyelash. Think about it. How many main events has Cody Rhodes been in this last year? A handful. And all of them have been like him and Roman Reigns versus the bloodline. It's been like him, and Randy Orton has been involved in like a War Games match or something like that. By himself, he can't carry this company. He can't carry this belt. So we need to pair him up with someone better. But why? Why do all this when we can instead give the titles, both of them, the WWE and the World Heavyweight title? And while you're at it, you could do the same thing for the mid-card titles. Give them to worthwhile wrestlers that could be in main events even without the title. For example, if Goldberg wrestles, right? I know a lot of people are like, oh, Goldberg and Undertaker was a horrible match. Everyone's going to remember that match. Everyone's going to enjoy that match. And everyone ever looked forward to that match. So if that's how it's going to be, then we have nothing to worry about, right? If that's the match that, let's say, we have at WrestleMania, people are going to look forward to that even if it's not for the titles. But imagine how much better it would be if there are some title implications, especially in the context, let's say, of The Rock or John Cena winning another world title, right? Especially Cena, because, that would be like a record-breaking world title. That's something that everyone would want to see, or at least would be interested in seeing. That's far more interesting than, let's say, will Cody Rhodes lose to Kevin Owens? Which the answer is obviously not. He's going to hold up both titles, on the ladder, like I said months ago. It doesn't matter. And that's going to be like the picture they put on WWE.com. It's so see-through that it's not even funny. But while this can be cute for a backlash, or a bad blood, this is not acceptable for WrestleMania season. And this is WrestleMania season. This is the Royal Rumble. You know what I mean? The Royal Rumble, it's time to get the title on someone that's important. In my opinion, at the Royal Rumble, it should just be Goldberg versus Gunther, and Goldberg should squash him in 2 minutes. Just to signify that the Gunther experiment is over. And Gunther, it failed. The experiment failed completely. He is not a good world champion. He's not entertaining. He's not interesting. Nobody cares. The title has not moved up the card at all since he's been champion. The Ula Fala is more important than both the world titles. And the Ula Fala isn't even a real thing, cucks. The point is exactly what the point is, all right? It is not time to dick around anymore. It is not time to experiment anymore. The experiments have both failed. Cody and Gunther need to drop the titles, and then they can go wrestle each other for a spot in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal where they both belong. There's no point in continuing an experiment ad nauseum. Once you run the experiment, you get the results. The results are SmackDown has been demoted from Fox to USA Network. The results are Gunther has not drawn a dime for this company, and he is getting outdrawn by Jay and Jimmy Uso independently, not by the Usos as an entity. He's getting outdrawn by both of the Usos. This would be the equivalent of having Stone Cold be the champion during the Attitude Era, and then he gets outdrawn by Scotty 2 Hotty and by Grandmaster Sexay, which would never happen. He would outdraw every tag team combined. You see what I'm saying? The experiment has failed, so now it's time to act as if the experiment has failed. There is no logic in continuing to pretend that the experiment might succeed one day. It failed, motherfuckers. It's time to move on from both of these cocksuckers. And that's all I gotta say about that. And if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. You're living with your eyes closed. The truth is that these failures of champions need to be replaced by people that are more interesting than them. Now, that might be difficult, but it's worthwhile exploring, right? Fuck it. At this point, I'd rather have Obafemi than Gunther. You know, I talk a lot of shit about Obafemi, but I recognize he's better than Gunther. You know, like, basically everybody's better than Gunther. Gunther's one of the worst wrestlers of all time. It's like the neckbeard community has really gaslit the world into thinking that Gunther is better than everybody. I consider Gunther to be one of the worst wrestlers of all time. Like, he's up there with, like, Anarchia from TNA. You know what I mean? Like, he's up there with Machete from TNA. That's who we're comparing him to at this point. He's there with Brock Anderson and Danny Garcia. He's garbage. You know? Cody Rhodes is a little bit better, but, like, he still doesn't deserve everything he's getting. So, that being said, time to throw these jobbers out and bring in the champions. Bring in some real stars, cuckwads.